Hello there guys, Matt here, hope you're all well and welcome to 2015, the very first vlog of 2015, and hopefully these will be of a more regular occurrence because as you well know, you probably don't all know, but a lot of people that watch my Twitch and are just friends in general will know that as of today, so the 1st of the 1st 2015, I am now doing this full time. I'm now doing YouTube, I'm now doing Twitch, and some other things that are related to Flight Simulator and my channel and my content full time. What does that mean for you? Well, probably not that much, other than you'll see a lot more content and you'll see a lot more of me. Maybe that will affect you, I don't know. But basically, I have now a schedule which I will be sticking to. It is subject to change, although change being if something crops up like a trip away in April that I'm heading over to the States for, and also things like if I decide to go to Oshkosh this year or to Cosford and stuff like that, then my schedule will change around that. But nothing other than flight sim related or my channel or Twitch related work will get in the way of my schedule. So if you just head to Belynz.com, it's all there. It's on the homepage. I'll put the link below the description. Belynz.com, you'll see it all there. I've tried to tailor it to a kind of European standard time. So everything starts maybe sort of tea or dinner time-ish, depending on which part of England you're from. This is a northerner you're speaking to. We all say tea. Everyone down south says dinner. It's very strange. Anyway, but the point is that I've kind of tailored it to people that are European. I know there are a lot of Americans and Australians as well. There seems to be a lot of Australians that watch my stuff. I can't be around 24/7, and I really want to concentrate on doing something which I've not done in a long time, and that is have a routine to myself. The reason why I want to get into a routine is, well, you probably don't care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. For the past God knows how long, I've been trying to juggle 1,000,001 things to the point where my sleeping pattern, my routine just didn't exist. I was going to bed at sometimes, 7 in the morning, waking up at 3 in the afternoon, or sometimes I'll be going to bed at, I don't know, 3 in the afternoon and waking up at 4 in the morning, whatever, it's over-exaggeration, but my life there was just too much going on, and I got to a point where it was either do I carry on what I was doing, which was, for those of you who don't know, I was a web developer, and although that's a great, it's a great career to be in, IT is fantastic, I have now this opportunity to pursue this whole sort of simming YouTube Twitch thing, which to me is far more exciting and far more appealing, so I decided to go with that, which means that I have to ditch everything on the web side of things. But I'll get into something that I'm doing which will keep me kind of in the know, in the loop with web development in just a second. Anyway, before I get to that, before I talk about the web project that everyone seems to know about, I want to talk to you about a few things coming up this year that I'm exceptionally excited about, and I don't know if you will be, but if you're a simmer, well, you should be because you watch me and I'm a simmer. You should really find this quite, maybe not exciting, but intriguing at least. So, if you are on my Facebook, you will have seen that, well, first of all, at the start of the year, I started going to Flight Deck Experience, which is a sim in Rochdale, just north of Rochdale. It's got the 737 sim with the cabin. You've seen me live stream it a bunch of times. I made a video, etc., etc. So that was how the year started. Moving on from that, I met I met a guy who has now become a good friend of mine. I don't know if he wants his name to be known. I'm not going to tell you his name. He's just a good friend. We'll call him, I don't know, what should we call him? Joe, for Joe Blogs. We'll call him Joe. So I meet this guy, and we, we become really good friends, and it's all great. From that friendship, we have, well, he decided that he was going to invest in an already built simulator, an already built 737 simulator. If you are in the know about simulators and stuff like that, you'll know a guy called Ivar, who is from Norway, and he built a 737 simulator essentially from scratch. He used parts from Flight Deck Solutions, which is a US manufacturer. They ship out huge things, and from anything to a clock to an overhead panel or whatever. But he built the sort of core components of it himself, you know, the glare shield, the way of the shell, etc., etc., the doors, and he has essentially sold that to Joe, if we're using Joe for an example, and he's brought it over to the UK, and now we are in the process of setting it up over here to be a working simulator business with a bit of a twist. It's not like your normal simulator, and I'll get on to how it's not your normal simulator in just a second. Everything will come together at once, I promise you. So that is my project, my side project for the year. Aside from YouTube and Twitch, that is something that I will be working quite heavily on. It won't interfere with what I'm doing. If anything, it will sort of complement my content, because although you'll see flight sim and you'll see, you know, train sim and sometimes other games, because, you know, it's not all about flight sim. What will happen is now and again you may see a video of me installing a throttle quadrant or linking up some yokes or installing some software that not all of you are going to find interesting, but there are, I know, a few of you out there that are home cockpit builders, and you might take some use out of it. I don't proclaim to be an expert, however, I spent the past year researching this quite extensively, to the point where I feel that, well, throw anything at me and we'll pretty much get it sorted. So, a 737 sim is already here. It's already halfway to being fully complete. Everything is there. It just needs building back and put back together, should I say. It is an exceptional sim, and there is still a little bit more investment to be done into it. If you look on Facebook, you will have seen that I put a picture of some pedals, some legitimate pedals, and these pedals have come from the US, from Flight Deck Solutions, and this was the kind of last piece of the jigsaw, so to speak. The sim had everything all custom built apart from pedals. It used Sci-Tech pedals. Why would you go out and blow all of that money on a sim which is ridiculously expensive? Okay, no, I don't. That's an insult to either. He sold it at an amazing price, but it's still a ridiculously expensive thing. You know, it's one of those things that, if you can balance it out versus the cost of a business, it's fine, but just as a toy, it's ridiculously expensive. But to be fair to Ivor, the price that he sold it at, I was expecting it to be 3 or 4 times that, so it was an exceptional deal. But having said that, these pedals were the last piece of the jigsaw. We have this huge, expensive simulator. We had Sci-Tech pedals, and you all know my kind of love-hate relationship with Sci-Tech. So we had to get some pedals, some Flight Deck Solution pedals, FDS pedals, which came 2 weeks ago. I now have a pair in my apartment, which I'm sat in now. The other pair is at Joe's house, waiting for the sim to be built. I am at the moment testing them to get all of the friction and everything like that working properly, and you will see, maybe tomorrow or the day after, there will be a review of them. Not really a review as such, but just a video showing you what is what. Again, not everyone will find it interesting, but they are tanky. They are so tanky, and that they just take your kind of immersion level of flying to a whole new level. That was too many levels in one sentence. You get the point. Okay, so how does all of this interlink, you may ask? And, well, I didn't really have an answer until June of last year, when I was constantly hounded, and I mean I was getting emails left, right and centre, messages on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, for me to create a virtual airline. Now, I currently fly actively for 2 virtual airlines, okay, just 2. One is BA Virtual, and the other is Virtual Air Canada. I did fly for Virtual Norwegian, but I just ran out of time and I ended up being retired. Virtual Air Canada is one of those airlines that they have put in an immense amount of effort into the systems and all of that stuff, and it's all linked now with SimBrief, which is a fantastic bit of freeware online planning tool that you can use. And then BA Virtual, well, I mean, how do I say this without getting banned from BA Virtual? They were great, and they're slowly on the decline. However, I still fly for them because I've been with them for just over 10 years, and leaving all of those hours behind, I don't really want to do that. So I keep myself current. I fly once every 30 days until I see some sort of improvement from them. They've been promising loads of things over the past couple of years, and they've just never done it. but I'm hoping they just brought on a new technical guy, and I hope he kind of kickstarts the whole project, because it would be a real shame. It's been around for a long time, and I really want them to do well. But right now I just do one flight a month, and then that's that. Anyway, I've rambled on about that too much. So I was constantly handed to make a VA, or virtual airline, and the problem was, it's not that I was opposed to it, I just didn't want to make something generic, and that was the biggest issue. Being generic for me is just something I hate being. As much as I get accused of copying other people and all that rubbish, which it is rubbish, I don't copy anybody, I just didn't want to do something that had already been done before. So we had a think, and for some weird reason, whether it was fate or whether, I don't know, whether it was meant to be, I was hooked up with a couple of guys that were also, like myself, developers. They had a bit more free time than I did, and we started working on an initial project which had no name, and we were just firing ideas around. We got a bit of a core base going on, and before we knew it, we'd made something which, I mean, I'm not going to say it's spectacular, but it has the grounds to be spectacular. If people get on board and get behind it, it will be seriously good. And that, at the beginning anyway, we called it Project X. I remember creating the GitHub repository. If you don't know what GitHub is, it's kind of like a code-based kind of, well, it's a repository. It saves your code, and you can pull and push it and compare it and whatever. We called it Project X, and we went with that name for a good while. And then I put the suggestion out to my patrons, and we had a bit of discussion about what the name was going to be. And before we knew it, we came up with, ironically, the name projectFLY. It was as simple as that. And projectFLY is essentially, well, what it says on the tin. It's a project to get people flying more, maybe not consistently, but to just get people flying. It was essentially what it was. And I always said from day one that the problem with the problem I have initially with most virtual airlines was the fact that, number one, it was always based around one airline, which is a nightmare, because you think it's all well and good from the start, and then you get fed up of saying the same bloody call sign over and over again, and your route network's limited, and all this and this, and it's not good. After a while, initially there's a bit of hype, and then the excitement sort of dies down. So that was a problem, and another problem was that there was an issue with the fact that not all of the VAs supported all of the platforms. So you'd have a VA, for example, Virtual Monarch was the one that sprung to mind. They support X-Plane, but they don't support FSX. Or maybe they do, but they don't really promote it. It was like the only X-Plane virtual airline. Then you've got, for example, BA Virtual, which only supports FSX and doesn't support X-Plane. You just can't win. I don't really understand why it's so difficult as a developer, knowing other developers, to support all the platforms, because it's actually quite simple. You use FSUIPC for FSX and P3D, and Steam Edition, great, and you use XUIPC for X-Plane. There you go. It works just as well for both of them. I don't know why, and it really annoyed me, and that's why that was one of my must-haves for this project. Another one was the incompatibility with stuff like Mac and Linux. Everything was geared around a PC with Windows, working FlightSimX, and that was it. If you were outside of that sort of genre of people, then you were sidelined, and it's tragic, because I know some really good people that use a Mac, an X-Plane, and, you know, any of the X-Plane aircraft add-ons that would put me to shame in what I know. But yet they can't be involved in the community stuff because the community doesn't cater for them. It's a bit wrong, isn't it? So there was the problem. So without further ado, I guess I should tell you where all this rambling is leading to. projectFLY is going to be released today. This video will go out at some point this afternoon. I am going to be live streaming over on twitch.tv/Belynz at 5 PM. And from 5 PM, projectFLY will be launching. And there is a lot to it, there really is, and I haven't had a chance to get a trailer out for it to really explain its features. But what I will do is I will explain all of the features in the stream before we open it, and then we'll open it. After that, I will make sure for future people that are going to come along and not see this in time, I will make sure that there is a trailer for them. So, it's launching at 5 PM, or no, it's not launching at 5, it's launching just after 5, although there will be a stream starting at 5. But essentially what projectFLY is it's a virtual airline with a difference. It's not restricted to airline, it's not restricted to aircraft, it's not restricted to routes, it's not restricted to platform or operating system. You can basically do what you want. It's more like a virtual logbook. Now, there are two ways you can use projectFLY. You can use projectFLY as just that, a virtual logbook, or you can use it as, we call it the career mode. You can enter into the career mode, where you start off as a rookie pilot with 0 hours, 0 experience, and you work your way through the system. It's not about the most hours wins, although hours does play a small part in it. It's about you ranking through the system as you would rank through the system in real life. So 40 hours and some ground school and some exams will get you a virtual PPL. 150 more hours, I think it is, will get you the ability to do, I think it's an instructor's course we've got at 150 hours set up. We've dubbed down the real world requirements a little bit because you don't want to have to spend 1,500 hours to get yourself into a 737. That's just ridiculous. We've toned it down a little bit. But that will only come to light if the initial kind of reaction is good. If people use it and if people contribute, I don't mean monetary, I mean contribute as in use it and interact and just be good people, then we will continue to develop it. If no one does, it's a dead project, and I will have just wasted a substantial amount of money and a substantial amount of time over the last 6 months. I am not afraid of it going down the pan. I will just be disappointed, and I will still carry on YouTubing and streaming, etc., etc., if it doesn't work. But if it does work, it will be, and I've said this a million times to people, it will be the place to be. You will benefit so much from it, and I will tell you one of the things that you will benefit from. Going back to that sim, okay? If you do certain things within projectFLY, you could essentially be paying for sim time by flying in the virtual airline. And what I mean by that is, let's say in 1 month you do something which ranks you above everybody else, yeah? Not ranks, but you know, it puts you ahead of everybody else. We will give you an afternoon in the sim up at Joe's house for free. You can go and use it, no problem. And then you can add that to your projectFLY logbook, and that will then build and build and build and build and build. Stuff like in-house discounts for different vendors, and also eventually the ability to buy your products through the projectFLY website at a greatly discounted price. There's an ecosystem within projectFLY, if enough people use it, that it will essentially pay for itself, and you will be able to make, I'm not going to say a living from it because you won't, I'm not going to promise that, but if you do enough to it and if you get enough from it, you'll be able to buy yourself a couple of add-ons every 2 or 3 months as and when they come out, and you'll be supporting yourself, you'll be supporting me, you'll be supporting the project, and it'll just be great. It won't be an over-moderated, sensitive environment where you get shot down at every hurdle. So I think that if we all work together and it all works out, it will be quite special. Again, if it doesn't, we will build the foundations for you to use, and if that doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But I will do my very best to make it appeal and make it work for as many people as possible. So as long as you're over 13, that's it. That's the only requirement. Well, there's a bit more than that. You need to own a legal copy of either X-Plane, P3D, Flight Simulator X, or the Steam version of Flight Simulator X on Windows, Linux, or Mac. Windows, Linux, or Mac even. Once all that's in place, doesn't matter if you have the NGX, the Dash 8, or the default trike, you can still fly in projectFLY. Anyway, I think I've rambled on for a little bit too long now. What is the time? 21 minutes, it's not too bad. I hope that you've understood what I've said, and if you have any questions and if you have any comments, just leave them below or stick it on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. As I said, I have a bit more time now to devote to answering questions and stuff like that, so it could be, I say could be, if I get an influx and there's just too many, then I won't be able to answer stuff, but it could be quite good. We could all get along swimmingly well, and, well, I wouldn't be here if you weren't, so I guess I am doing something right and you're doing something right. It all just seems to want to work. It's a very strange scenario to be in. I am exceptionally grateful to be in this scenario. It's still a bit surreal, it's not sunk in yet, but if you are one of those people that you really want to get behind what I do and support something that I do, then projectFLY and everything that I do on here and Twitch and even posting on Twitter, just get behind it, support it, you know. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, tell me what I'm doing right, and we will make it pretty damn special. Right, I've ranted for long enough now. It's approaching 12:30. I need to go make some lunch, and then I need to put this out, and that is the end of vlog. I think it's number 4 or number 5, but I will make sure that these appear more often than not. Don't forget, the podcast starts in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks from now will be the brand new podcast, which I will be hosting once a month, and it will be basically me just ranting on for approximately an hour or so about what is going on, and you can probably guess which the first subject is. Post below if you think you know. Okay, we're done. Thank you very much for listening, and again, thank you so much for the support, because, well, without it, this wouldn't happen. I'd still be making rubbish videos on an infrequent basis, and yeah, we wouldn't have anything. Good job, guys. Thanks very much for listening, and until the stream this afternoon, I'll see you later. Bye bye.